This is a C63 AMG. As you can tell, it's not just any C63 AMG. We can all kind of tell at this point, peak AMG has long passed, and what comes with that? Well, nostalgia for a greater time, a better time with 3 pedals. So our friend Brooks, he's manual swapped a few cars before, but this is the one I've been the most excited about. He spent a ton of time on this car, and we're gonna see how it drives, if it's kind of close to OEM. We're gonna talk to Brooks about the whole scenario, what his process is like. Let's go. This is not manual swapped, but it is a CLK 55 AMG. He drives that quite a bit. This is a car you guys might remember from a couple of years ago, C55 AMG with a manual swap. That was a ton of fun. So naturally aspirated M113 in that car. Really nicely set up, square stance, aftermarket seats, a lot of aftermarket stuff in there, shifter, stuff like that. The C63, as we'll find out, is using a ton of OEM parts, so it might feel a little bit different. What's going on, Brooks? And this car is your C36 AMG.
Yes, this is the long haul car that I plan to keep forever, one of them.
It was a lot of fun. It's smooth, not a car that I would like have an urgency to manual swap.
Yeah, but
so
it'll happen eventually.
Yeah.
It's been the second car for my wife, so
yeah,
we've kept the automatic for longer than I probably would have, but
yeah,
eventually we'll get swapped too.
Yeah, variety. Yeah. Variety is the key. No kidding. And then this is a 190 behind us. And in the last video, in the C55 video, I said to Brooks, I'm like, people would pay you a lot of money to do that work on their car, to swap the car. And since then, he has done a few customer cars. He just recently finished a CLS 55 AMG, which is not a car I would also have an urgency to manual swap, but it worked out.
Yeah, ended up working out.
Awesome.
It's a big body car, but definitely turned out super smooth and amazing. And hi. Yeah, so that car, I was curious what it was going to end up feeling like, and it felt completely OEM, just like a big body car with a manual, which Mercedes probably never would have made. But
no.
It made it happen. So.
Yeah, C63, you could argue, hey, maybe they, well, they definitely could have, but they probably should have.
Thought about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it went pretty good, but you don't have the same control as you do with a manual, so I was too curious not to do it.
Yeah. Curiosity leads us to this greatness. Let's go for a drive. Maybe you've been captured by the hybrid era of AMG and you didn't realize this, but they stopped building naturally aspirated road cars about 10 years ago. This was one of the last. Of course, they've built inline 6s, V8s, 4-cylinders, both NA and boosted, but the 6.2 liter M156 V8 was the first ground-up AMG engine not based on what you'd find in the poor man's models. Yeah, the pinnacle of this experiment would be a manual swapped SLS AMG with its modified version of this engine, but that's a research paper for another day. Point is, AMG never stuck a stick on this beauty.
My name is Brooks. I have a YouTube channel called Anderzén, where I basically specialize in all things Mercedes, older era AMG specifically, and modifications, and most notably, I guess now would be the manual swaps. 2010 pre-facelift, for those that are familiar with the chassis. I was curious for a long time after completing my quest of other swaps and other drivetrains, what the M156 would be like with a 6-speed behind it. And I got the chance to finally get this one from a good buddy, Josh over at Creative Steel. And they gave me a deal of a lifetime I couldn't pass up, and it gave me enough wiggle room to justify, let's swap this thing. So yeah, literally a week after I brought it home, I started diving into it, and I had done M113 V8, M119 V8, M273, and M156 was kind of that next one to complete the Mount Rushmore, I guess, so to speak. This one was definitely satisfying, and I can 100% say it was worthwhile doing. 99% of it is OEM parts, and some of it I could have used OEM parts, but I wanted to make my own kind of aftermarket decisions for it. So things like the clutch reservoir and lines and stuff, I just made myself, or use other components. But transmission is out of, you can find them in like SLK, C classes, would have been in the C300 for this generation 204, SLK 350s, 300s, 280s, but all 6-speed transmissions. And they're actually a Getrag box, and people don't really know that.
Okay.
But Mercedes and Getrag parted those together. Chrysler also uses a variant of them earlier in the Crossfire, and another variant in the Jeeps. So yeah, lots of different places to pull them from, I guess, but it was the right one for this car, and right torque rating, I guess. They have a few, like 3 or 4 different torque ratings that you can pick from them. And this one is rated around 400 Newton meters. But Mercedes is very conservative with what they rate things.
Most German manufacturers, which is a good thing.
Most things that I've seen on paper express that it's typically a 40 to 70% threshold of what it's actually capable of. So I've been pushing the earlier version of this same transmission in my C55 for a good, I don't even know, 6-7 years now, and I've absolutely beat on it, and it still feels like the day I swapped it. So I think if you get a good box that's in good condition, drive it nicely, for the most part, yeah, it's fine.
This is the test mule.
Yeah. Yeah, no adapters, no nothing.
Wow.
Everything is bolt up, from the drive shaft, the shifter, the pedals, everything is bolt up. The only thing I had to modify, which I didn't expect on this chassis actually, of all of them, was the cross member. Normally you can just line them right up because Mercedes pre-makes holes that you can switch the cross member from. But on this one, I kind of went through a few different trial and errors of figuring out where was the happy spot for it. But now it's using basically just a manual cross member that I kind of slotted on one side to make it work. So I think I used the Honda Civic clutch reservoir.
What?
For those that have been around my channel for a long time, you guys know. And for new people, I'll tell you, I started out in the Honda world.
There you go. And
that kind of like cut my teeth, I guess, with cars in general. Okay, no, I lied. On this one, I used a Willwood setup.
Okay.
On the later stuff that I've done, I started using a Honda one because it's like a really nice fit. Most people wouldn't notice it, I guess, if you're looking around. No. You can tap in right here.
I see.
All Mercedes have this. Pretty much all Mercedes have this, where you can cut this nipple off and then plug your line in for the clutch. But I'm in the party of let's keep the fluids separate, just keep it easier, keep things cooler for longer when you're getting on the car.
100%.
And just easier for me servicing wise. So I make fittings, I make parts as well for these, kind of like a few niche parts that I provide just from my own, journey and experience, I guess. I make a quick connect fitting to AN line for the clutch to the transmission, to the master to slave cylinder, basically. So yeah, that AN line and this reservoir is really the only non-OEM stuff. Flywheels OEM, clutches OEM, which was, I didn't know if it was gonna hold the power. It's the same one I used in my C55. But these obviously make probably around 100 more horsepower to the wheels, roughly. So I didn't know if it would hold up or how long it will hold up. So I guess we're still in the trial of that, but it's been almost 1,300 miles and I've got on the car pretty good.
The word you used earlier was abuse.
Yeah, I've abused it to a sense, and it's well past the break-in miles now. This is a 40,000 mile car. I think it's like 45,000 miles, 2010, like I said. So it's like as low mile example as you're gonna find, and just like a nice, clean, daily spec type car. So that's really what I wanted to keep it as, is just a nice OEM plus, my version of the car, without going super crazy like I did on the C55.
All right, you guys, C63 AMG. The good one. Just a little bit of throttle. Oh, this is strange. This is so strange. Last time I was in a C63 or any other car with this engine in it, E63, I'm so used to, having a coffee in the cup holder or just holding it one-handed, peeling out of a parking lot. This is a car in factory form that you're supposed to be able to just really wring its neck out, hoon it, whatever word you want to use, one-handed, with a coffee, be comfortable, and just play with the big torque of the 6.2 in a comfortable way. But here it's requiring a little bit more involvement. And we're shifting a manual C63 AMG. This is unbelievable. It is so easy to speed in this car. Wow, it revs up quick. All right, 4,000 RPM. There goes Brooks in the CLK. Clutch pickup's nice. It's not too grabby, but there's quite a bit of feel here. Once you roll the windows up, super quiet. The car is geared nicely. It feels like these are not as long of gears as you would find like in an E92 M3, so you can still have fun in third gear and up into fourth. That is nasty. And just like third to second, over revved it there. It is so easy to over rev, but it rewards kind of methodical shifting, intentional, slower speed shifting. I mean, I'm sure you could just drive the piss out of this thing, but it's so strange to me that I've gotten used to it this quickly, because it is so odd. I'm gonna go home later today and I'm just gonna be thinking, was I actually driving a manual swap C63 AMG? Was that real? Because it feels so natural. It's kind of, once you begin driving, you forget, you know? It just becomes normal, so. It feels a lot closer to a BMW shifter. This is the only factory manual transmission Mercedes I've ever driven. And by factory, I just mean it's using factory parts, right? His C55 had an aftermarket shifter, short throw, all that stuff. And it feels very close to what you would expect if you've ever driven an E92 M3. It feels very close to that. So not the most precise, but also just what comes with that is not a lot of effort at all. Like you still feel the notchiness of the shifter. Don't get me wrong, I'm not misshifting here, but it's got a little bit of that elastic feel. And I don't feel like I want to just slam gears. I don't feel like I want to quick shift or flat foot shift this and abuse it. It's just, it still has the effortless feel. Like the manual hasn't given it a whole ton of extra effort, and I could see Brooks dailying this car. It hasn't taken away any of the comfort or daily drivability of the car, and I think that's the goal. Yeah, she didn't notice. Nope, no one's noticing. No one cares. It turns out no one cares. All right, now I'm getting the hang of it. I can feel the clutch pick up a lot better. The engine revs really quick, and on upshifts, the revs drop really quick. So at the beginning, I was still feeling it out, kind of getting used to it. So the revs were dropping a little bit more than I'd like, but now, there you go, third to fourth, perfect. There is certainly a learning curve to it. Do you need to be above 3,000 RPM? Absolutely not, but you want to. You absolutely do. There's torque everywhere. There's torque at 1,600 RPM, and then there's also power all the way up to 7,200 RPM. So like 3,500 RPM is just, it's magic. Brooks, all you need in this car, long tube headers, open up the exhaust a little bit, just let me hear the engine a little bit more. It would just be that much more rewarding than it is already right now. Oh my, yeah. Okay, so this was a pre-facelift car. This car makes a lot more sense than the post-facelift cars to manual swap. And the reason I say that is because the factory 7-speed transmission that these cars came with was updated for the updated cars, that's a weird sentence, with a multi-plate clutch setup versus a traditional torque converter setup. So this car from factory had an incredibly sloppy transmission compared to the later cars. Now, compared to the CLK55 that Brooks is driving right now, it was not sloppy. It actually, they shift fairly decent, but you're not going to get blipped downshifts like this. Now we can actually finally feel how free revving this engine feels. It's brilliant too, down here in the center console, so many modern cars, including a 992, 911, have the issue of the cup holder is in your way when you're shifting. Your elbow's gonna hit it, right? This car, miraculously enough, you can shift it and still have drinks here, and it's pretty much been engineered for a manual transmission. It adds a little bit of, hey, you might upset the car. It adds the variable of risk. It adds the variable of driver error, more so than in if you were to switch off traction control in a standard C63 AMG, which is already a little bit of a driver risk, right? With a manual, it allows you to give the car a little bit more respect, the respect it deserves as far as like a chassis goes. And you just, I mean, it does exactly what you would think a manual swap does. It makes you feel more connected to the car. Turns out, you guys, crazy to think, there is a market, a group of people that want to drive manual transmission AMGs. I know, a crazy concept.
It ripped already as is, but with the manual, you're just so much more in tune with it,
yes,
more in control. And it's a driver mod, I guess. It's an experience mod to be able to feel and be in tune with the car. This is a part, big credit to a very good friend of mine, Josh Chase, over at Mercedes Swap Shop, and James as well, works with him at Mercedes Swap Shop. Without him, pretty much all the swaps I've done wouldn't have been possible. And I want to mention him because I feel like he gets left out of the picture a lot in the whole world of these type of swaps and stuff. He's probably behind a good 80–90% of them out in the world, and a lot of times just doesn't get talked about. But he does all the magic on the ECUs to make those happy. On this particular car and the M156 in general, they have a bunch of variants of the ECU, like based on year and just kind of different internals and different hardware, I assume. So this was kind of like a gray area for him. He hadn't seen this particular year of ECU. It's kind of a cutoff between like 2009 and 2011 and stuff. So we were kind of experimenting, but luckily it ended up working out. He programmed it, one wires run to it from the clutch. And then besides that, it was just all me using a pretty basic launch scanner to program the SAM, the rest of the modules on the car, the cluster, to get rid of the gear indicator. And then we wired up the reverse lights to the front SAM for getting those to work. And then to my surprise, once I got the programming figured out, which took a few, trial and error experiments, the reverse camera started working and the tail lights, reverse lights started working. So cool. It's literally 100% functioning as OEM, which is amazing. It was super cool.
Yeah.
Biggest challenges was just these motors are expensive, and it's a risk at the end of the day to take a perfectly working car, perfectly known example, tear it apart, and then put, what I believed would work, but didn't have any experience to prove that without me doing that. Mm-hmm. But that was, the double-edged sword of it was, I want to prove that I know and believe that this will work, and this was the way to do it, and be able to show people that, look, like these transmissions can work behind this car. Everything I've done on all the other cars will work if I put it in this car. But that was the biggest fear factor, was just like, I can't screw this up. Like this is an expensive motor, yes, and a car that I want to keep and care for and put many miles on it, and I don't want to mess things up. So There was actually, if people go back and watch, there's a 2-part video series for this whole swap process, and I share everything.
Yes.
Which I'm an open source kind of guy. I'm not a gatekeeper whatsoever. So if you have questions, feel free, ask Marcus, ask me. And if you watch part 1 of that video, when I first got it running and put together, I had absolute heart in my stomach moment of taking it out for a drive, wouldn't go past 4,000 RPM, and it started misfiring and shut down. And I thought I blew the motor, and I thought my life was over. But luckily, with the help also of another Mercedes niche guy, Matt Quick, we were plugging back and forth talking about things, and I was able to reset a sensor rotor, and from there it went full RPM and everything was good, and I didn't have to pull it apart, and it was a big relief. So yeah, it was a good probably 30 hours into it, and that's typically what they are. Like, I can rush them. I did my C55 in basically like 3 days, you know, 8-hour days, but I don't like to do that anymore. I try to take my time and just do an hour here and there, and really like put the Zen into the Anderzén process and just be detailed and thorough. But yeah, that childlike scream and giddiness at the end of that video was 100% genuine, because it was shortly before that I thought I was in dire straits. So yeah.
Are you going to just kind of drive it for a while, or?
Actually, Josh and I, Mercedes Swap Shop again, we want to do a base right now. We didn't tune it. We just did the programming for the manual. So I'd like to get it on the dyno, see what it makes in stock form with the manual versus what we know automatic. Typically, automatics will put down around like 380 wheel horsepower. So I'm curious what it will put down with the manual, and then from there we'll tune it and then see what it does with that as well. So
that's cool.
That's, you know, small plans, but yeah, definitely in the future.
That's it, you guys. C63 AMG with a manual. A brilliant combination, an OEM feeling car. Let's get Brooks to 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, okay? The links are in the description. Thanks for the seat time, Brooks. Appreciate it. We'll see you next time.